Hey there, guys. Sean Michael here from WinBeta. Nah, I'm just kidding. I'm excited. It's our first episode of 2016. Welcome to episode 47 of the WinBeta podcast for the week of January 8th, 2016. With me is co-host Zach Bowden.
Hello.
There we go. And this week we'll be talking about all sorts of things. The biggest stories from today are involving CES. There's all sorts of tech. Zach has like a whole house full of things to review. There's some other stuff to talk about, Windows 10 mobile things. But before we get into any of that, Zach, it's been like 2 or 3 weeks since we last had a podcast.
Yes, it has. It was last year. That's how long ago it was.
It was last year. Are you ready to do a whole nother year of these?
No. Sean, I announced, as of right now, I've retired from the WinBeta podcast.
Oh, that's
I'm
too
out.
bad.
Peace out.
Well, all right, viewers, we can see on the chat, right? Do you want to explain that before we get any further?
Yes, so for those of you for those of you watching live, you can now see your... I shouldn't advertise this because someone's going to abuse it knowing my luck. Yes, the comments are on the video now. So the people who are watching live can see when we see the comments. So when the comments show up in the video, that's when we receive them, or I can see them. So instead of you spamming your question 400 times because the delay in video, you can now wait and see it come up. And for those who are watching the rebroadcast, you can actually see some of the what people are saying, because I know we will reference comments a fair bit during the rebroadcast, and nobody will know what people are talking about in the chat. For the audio listeners, of course, this doesn't make a difference, but this is just for the people who watch the video.
There's now more audio listeners than video, so whatever.
Yeah, there are more audio listeners. Thank you for listening on the audio. We appreciate it. And so when we do talk about things on screen or whatever, we should probably describe them more for the audio listeners this year. That's our New Year's resolution. Treat the audio listeners better, I guess.
Since there's more of them.
There is more of them. But that's
we
fine.
focus so much on video and getting all these things ready, and then like last week, it's almost like 3-2 ratio of audio to video last episode.
Yes, I mean, I spend so much time making the graphics look pretty for the video, and everyone just goes and listens to the audio version. I guess people listen to us on the bus or something on the way to work. Yeah,
probably so. That's why I listen to podcasts. I don't watch podcasts. And in any event, let's move on. How was your break? Did you do anything fun?
I had a relatively relaxing holiday. I bought myself a Surface Pro 4, which was nice.
Do you like it?
I do like it, but it's typical, because everybody knows I wanted a Surface Book, and then I buy a Surface Pro 4. 3 or 4 days later, Microsoft says, guess what, UK people? The pre-orders for the Surface Book are open now. And I was just like, what? I've waited to come in March. Yeah, no, it's February. It comes out February 18th. I'm going to try and get a review in it, though.
So you knew that anyway?
Yeah. But
I guess you were thinking March, but still.
Yeah, I was still thinking March, which is further away than February.
To be fair, I tried to get you a Surface Book.
You did.
I called 2 Microsoft stores and went to one of them. And, well, actually... I didn't ask if I buy one, but I called 2 Microsoft stores and they didn't have any available, or they were limited.
Yeah, which is expected considering it's such a good product.
Yeah, so you see, I had a fun break. I played way too many video games, or spent too much time on that. Went home to America, and as people on Twitter probably aware, I got engaged over the holiday.
Yes, you did. Congratulations.
Thank you.
How did that play out? Was it relatively smooth?
That?
How did that play out? Was that relatively smooth?
Yeah, it went really well. We went back to the place where we first kissed, which happens to be a big building in our faith, and went outside of there and proposed, surrounded by like 100,000 Christmas lights, because they have festival lights every year. You know
what would have been even more romantic if you got on one knee and offered her a Lumia 950 with Windows 10.
Ooh,
take this Lumia 950.
It has a very visible ring on it.
Yes, exactly.
You know, Zach, I already proposed, but whenever you propose to whoever you do someday in whatever, how many time span you want that, keep that in mind.
Yes, I will relate it to Microsoft somehow, and my girlfriend will hate me forever.
We don't need to do too much in this now, but with the wedding and me with people in 2 continents, I was thinking, can you like Skype a wedding? Is Skype going to sponsor my wedding?
The first ever Skype wedding. I guess you could probably do something.
I'm sure that it's been done, but it's like a lot of family and friends that can't make a trip. Anyway.
Yeah.
Well, that's about it for. I mean, obviously we had big breaks. We can talk about that in the after party though, during more relaxed Q&A.
For now, though, we should talk about Windows 10, because there was actually a little bit of Windows 10 news over the holidays, which is surprising. The first of which were install numbers, or active install numbers now, Microsoft have clarified. 200 million. That's 2 and then 2 zeros after that, and then the word million. That's a lot of people using Windows 10, and especially in this time span, because I believe this is the fastest growing Windows version ever. But then again, that's not to be that's not unexpected, considering Windows 10 is free and being actively pushed on Windows 7 and Windows 8.1 desktops directly, because that's never happened before, really. With Windows 8.1,
and when you say push, just really push.
Yeah, they really want people to upgrade. And of course, this number also includes Xbox and Windows 10 mobile, I imagine, as well, although the Windows 10 mobile number is probably significantly smaller than Xbox or Windows 10 on desktops. So yeah, 200 million. I'd say that's very successful. They are now they're on their way to 1 billion. I reckon they'll make it within 3 years. Developers are also starting to take an interest. As you may have noticed over the holidays, a couple more apps are showing up. Developers are updating apps, and some of them are transferring or upgrading, I guess, to the universal platform. It's all looking good, and of course, the universal platform does benefit mobile in some way, being that not all universal apps are the whole mobile phone thing and desktop thing, but I guess developers can add that in easily now. So it's definitely looking good, although the mobile picture isn't looking too great right now because of all the bugs and nobody buying whatever. But the Windows 10 mobile update, which we'll talk about in a minute, is rolling out soon. Then there was also a bit of Redstone stuff. I guess, was it starting this week? Yeah, starting this week, Microsoft were back properly compiling daily Redstone builds. Right now, there's still nothing superb or fantastic in the main Insider branch. So just like build 11,082, I imagine if they release one next week, which I'm hearing they will, it won't be spectacular with new features or anything. So if you're expecting new features, not just yet, but that should change very soon, because the teams, the engineers, the team, and the people working on Redstone are soon going to start compiling what they're working on into the main branch, and then that's when insiders get to mess with it. So maybe the next build will include extensions. I haven't asked. That would be nice.
It should. It's now months after they initially said.
I know, and extensions are working per se. They're just, again, not in the main branch. So that's Redstone in a nutshell. What happened with Redstone over the holidays? There was a new build before the holidays,
but it didn't have anything new.
It didn't have anything in it. It had a bunch of under the hood changes, and I'm pretty sure that's kind of what the next build will be like as well. Mobile, I don't know. I don't think Microsoft is preparing any Redstone builds for mobile just yet. They are preparing another cumulative.
They haven't even perfected the non-Redstone builds.
Yeah, they're preparing another cumulative update for mobile, which will be released next week as well.
I'm not prepping for WinBeta podcast 58 right now because we haven't finished this one.
Yeah. Again, the mobile builds are the same as the RTM of Windows 10 mobile, so nothing too interesting going on there right now. Development takes a long time, and it's slow to get off the ground, and that's what people don't seem to understand. I've seen many people complain to me and to they tag me and Gabriel and other people, and they're like, "Why isn't this build got any features in it?" And it's like, well, development it's slow. It can take a while to get off the ground, but it will happen. There will be new features coming in the new year. Were there any reports of new features over the holidays? I don't remember.
I don't know. I honestly, I've done my best to stay up to date, and when you're not in the country, you're actually working.
Yeah, I don't think there was. Either way, Redstone, it's getting there. Again, if you don't know, Redstone is scheduled to launch, is it June 2016? There's two versions of Redstone. Redstone 1, Redstone 2, just like Threshold 1 and Threshold 2. Redstone 1 will be a bigger update in June, July. Redstone 2 will be more of a smaller fix.
As a wedding gift, I'm getting Windows 10 Redstone.
Redstone 2 will be in the fall of 2016, and then the cycle should repeat the year after with a new code name of Windows and whatever. I'm very interested in what they're going to call Redstone. Are they just going to call it Windows 10 Update something?
It depends. To me, if they manage to get all the features that people have talked about, obviously extensions should have come before that, but I imagine it'll be packaged with that because there are some people who probably looked at Windows 10, saw that Edge didn't have extensions, and then just didn't follow up on it. So when they have a major update, they'll probably mention that. If they have like pass off or some sort of, your phone's directly connected, pass through kind of thing, those sorts of features need to be advertised. And Redstone is a code name, not an advertising brand. So I think they'll have to come up with something, even if they don't call it the update. They just say Windows. It's like, I hate to compare this, but it is an ad campaign. Apple's like, nothing's new with the iPhone except everything. They might have to take an approach something similar to that, where they're like, Windows 10 still what you love, but check out all this new stuff, and then don't mention that it's like Redstone, because they have to.
They won't ever mention a code name in the marketing, but
but they have to sell it because it'll transition to more phone sales and that sort of thing.
Yeah, it'll be very interesting how they go about marketing. I mean, Windows 10.1 would make sense because iOS does that with iOS 9, 9.1. But then again, the 0.1 upgrades on iOS are more feature bug fixes and whatever else, and just general tweaks like that. They're not new features, whereas Redstone's bringing new features and a substantial amount of features as well. So it will be interesting to see what they call it. Maybe they'll call it like Windows 10 and then a word. Windows 10 Vista. That's kill it straight away. Don't do that, Microsoft.
Windows 10 Mojave.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know. They'll have to brand it somehow.
Yeah, it'll be very interesting to see how they do that.
Mm.
But I mean, right now I'm more interested in the mobile rollout of Windows 10 Mobile, because that hasn't happened yet.
Yeah, well, and it's weird because we're not getting substantial feature updates anymore. We haven't got new features in a long time. And a large number of the bug fixes have already come in. Obviously, they're going to keep bug fixing, that sort of thing. Some devices are running it really well in the technical preview. Some are really struggling. As far as I've seen, this isn't like scientific or anything, but it doesn't even seem to be consistent between what's newest and what's highest end. And sometimes it seems like, I'm running it well on this, and then this other person's on a higher end phone and it's not running great. And so, I mean, you said don't you have a 950 or 950 XL?
XL.
It's like rebooting randomly, right?
Yes. I had a bunch of issues before with the camera app crashing the phone and rebooting the phone. I had a firmware update, the Microsoft, whatever they called it, update, and that's fixed a lot of the reboot issues. I don't get reboot, and the battery life's a lot better now, which is very good. But
So as Microsoft's kind of irons, this is a rolling pin. This is an iron, and for our audio listeners, this is a rolling pin. I'm moving my hands like a rolling pin. This is an iron. I'm moving my hands like an iron. New Year's resolution. That'll probably end quickly. We have to keep on top of that. Anyway, so they'll iron out details, and the rumor right now is that it'll be rolling out January 12th. No confirmation from Microsoft. I don't have any sort. This is just like what other people are reporting and what we've seen around the web. So someone is saying in all caps that it's here. I have no idea how to check that.
I'm checking right now. I feel like someone's lying.
What was that?
I'm checking right now. I feel like someone's lying.
They often troll us in the comments and claim that new builds come out. So Zach will actually check if there's anything. But that being said, maybe we talk about the update, not the actual rollout. But people are talking about an official rollout happening. Companies, because there's carriers that are saying, we're going to update this, and we're getting some of this, some feedback, some word that it's coming soon. I can't imagine it's going to be more than a few weeks. But the specific date that we're hearing is people are freaking out like it's actually here.
I'm checking, so just keep the story going.
All right. People have said January 12th. If it's right now, we will tell you. We will.
As an insider update, right? They're talking about the insider thing.
Oh, okay. They're talking about insider updates. Okay. All right. But the rollout's not here yet. Okay. So, yeah, they're talking about 10.586.63.
Yes, I'm checking now on this 550.
Okay. There's that. So I don't know. Yeah, I mean I've been on Windows 10 for months now, so I'm kind of used to it. But like my girlfriend's still on Windows Phone 8.1, so I think the 2.8 market share of us that are left, we might switch over.
Well, I mean, once the Windows 10 mobile update rolls out, you kind of don't have a choice, because there's no way to not update. It will download, and then in a few days it will restart and just install it. I mean, you don't get to choose. I don't think on Windows.
Look out, folks! It's here now.
Yeah, exactly.
It's weird because with phones we're like cool with that. Like when iPhones just like ship out an update. I guess there are always those articles. Should you update? But like most people are just kind of their phone, they let the people take care of it, but the computer they're really protective about. It's kind of different.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, so I mean, I'm very excited for Windows 10 Mobile to roll out officially. I updated my girlfriend's phone manually over the holidays, and she's enjoying Windows 10 Mobile. She didn't really notice. I mean, normal people aren't going to notice much new, because the start screen still looks like a start screen, right? And
I think it looks a little better in my opinion.
I mean, the apps have new UIs and stuff. Yeah, no, people are not lying. It's not 6.3 years out. I should tell the chat so they can get a post up.
Sweet. Also, I should make a correction. Leia is now my fiance, not my girlfriend.
Yes.
Someone called me out in the comments. But yeah, I think it's different, but it's not that different.
Yeah. Can you keep the
Sure.
podcast going? Everyone.
It's interesting because I've had, as many of us insiders do, I've had to jump back and forth between Windows 10, Windows Phone 8.1, particularly back when the builds, when you had to jump back and forth in order to get the latest one. But so with Windows 10 Mobile, I think it is different. I mean, especially for us users, there's more things supported. The UI is a little different. There are universal apps that are going to work on it, all sorts of things like that. And I'm a big fan of Windows 10 Mobile. I think great thing, mouse and keyboard support, that sort of thing on a phone. I wish it had some new things that we might get later, like landscape, but that's not here yet. But I wonder how many average everyday users, if you're just like, have your phone, I got a Windows phone because it was cheaper, and whatever, something like that. Maybe someone sold you on like Office or whatever, which obviously is available on lots of phones. But maybe you're like, oh, Windows phone, it's only like $60 or whatever. I'll get one of these. I don't know how many differences they're really going to notice. If all you do is pick up your phone, text, call, Facebook, Twitter, internet browsing, basic things like that, I don't think the update's going to make that big of a difference. There are a ton of differences. I'm sure that there are, we could do whole videos on it, but that's about it. So as Zach is, how long do I have to stall for, Zach? Because we got updates.
Nobody's in the chat. Where is everybody? Don't we have people online right now?
I don't know.
Oh well, I can't write a story. I'm doing a podcast.
You can't write a story while we're doing the podcast, Zach.
No, I cannot. Yeah. Thanks for stalling. Let's move on. Let's talk about the Microsoft Lumia 650.
Sounds good. So yeah, I don't know. This device is. I don't have a ton about it, but you have the article there with the details.
I've got the deets. So this Lumia 650 was I pasted a render of it many months ago now. No, it wasn't me. Was it me? Or was that the 550? I don't remember. Either way, this thing has been in testing at Microsoft for a while now. The 650 branding was first, I guess, assumed by us when I said, since the render has the time 650 in it, it could be called the Lumia 650. Everybody shut me down and said that's never the case. It could be wrong, and I felt very sad. Turns out I was right, and it is the Lumia 650. The Lumia 650, some specs came out for it. Guess confirmed specs, because somebody actually got hold of a prototype, which has specs of what I imagine the shipping version will have. So it has a standard, is it just standard HD? So 1280 by 720 LCD screen with 1 GB of RAM, an 8 megapixel rear camera, and the same Snapdragon 210 processor, which is found on the Lumia 550. So this is a very interestingly built device, being that it's positioned more as a 550 than a 640 successor. The 550 features a gigabyte of RAM, a Snapdragon 210, a 1280 by 720 LCD screen. I guess the camera isn't as good, although I'm not entirely sure. It could be an 8 megapixel. Either way, this phone just seems like the 550, but with just a better body. And
yeah, I don't know. I mean, to me, and the article, actually, our article says this as well. The 640 is a pretty, I don't want to say perfect, because I mean, I guess nothing's perfect, but for the price range, it's an amazing device. I mean, Leah has a 640, and I kind of want it.
Yeah.
Like, I end up, sometimes I'll be there, and she's like, give my phone back. Like, it's not yours. It's a really good device. So I don't know. They shouldn't shy away from that. I don't want metal. It's a budget. I like it where it is. I don't know where this fits in. I thought they were supposed to be like separating these lines of phones, and now we're gonna have a 550 and a 650.
Yes, and it's really weird because the 650 is just like a 550 but in a better body. Now, admittedly, the body is one of the better bodies I've seen on a Lumia in a while. It does have a metal chassis around the edges of it, and I guess it's a plastic back and front. But it's a 720p screen, which isn't too bad. I reckon this will be a nice device, but it's just interesting why Microsoft are releasing it when they've got the 550. I mean, the 550 is I'd call it a perfect phone considering the price you pay. This is a sub £100 phone. I guess it's less than $100 as well. $99, I imagine. Or maybe $120. I don't know. Either way, this is a really cheap phone, and you get a relatively good package for this cheap phone. I mean, it is plastic. But the 550 is a good phone. It's not a bad phone. I really enjoyed this phone. In fact, if I didn't have a 950 XL, I would have probably bought this and used this because it's nice. I enjoyed my time using this phone. When I reviewed it, I actually used it as my main driver. Usually, when I'm reviewing a phone that's low end, I kind of use it on and off as my main driver. I used this as my main driver for the entire week. I enjoyed my experience that much with it. It's a really good phone, and it's really cheap. So you get a good bargain for what you pay for. And the 650 being, I imagine it'll be a little bit more expensive considering the body and all that. It just doesn't make... I guess it's for people who want a 550 but are a little bit more classy. I don't know. What kind of market are they aiming for with this 650?
I don't know. Is this like leftover Nokia stuff? I don't understand.
I think this is the last of the Nokia stuff.
Because maybe it was just like well, it's here. Like...
we've been saying it's the last of the Nokia stuff for ages now.
Yeah, I know. It's for me. I mean, Microsoft makes amazing budget phones. I mean, the 640, I honestly like it more than my 930. The camera's not as good, but it's still good.
Yeah, it's funny because these low-end devices are actually really nice.
I think that the Lumia. I don't talk about this as much as I used to because I used to go on too much about it, but. We did that article where Leah took a look at and she left her iPhone, switched it for a 640. She didn't switch it for a high end. She had a relatively old iPhone at that time, and they stacked up well. So I wish Microsoft could, keep that reputation up and then transition it to something else. But I don't want a million Windows 10 mobile devices that are budget. I want like one or two that they can push really hard.
I'm trying to show people the 6.3 upgrade, but it's not working. I'm gonna test out the Lumia anyway, and I bet you any money I like the 650 as well. It's just I don't understand who this device is marketed at if they've already got a 550 because Microsoft said they were cutting back. This doesn't seem like they should have just had a 950. A 750 and a 550, or a 650. Well,
this really should have been a 750 sequel because the 735 is great.
Yes, and it shouldn't have a Snapdragon 210. It should have a Snapdragon 410 or whatever, something a successor to the last. Because the 735, I love the 735. That's one of my favorite mid-range Windows phones ever. It's such a good phone. My girlfriend has it, and I love it so much. It runs Windows 10 like a champ. When I upgraded my girlfriend's phone, I was like, oh my goodness, this is actually snappier than I thought it was going to be. I thought you was going to hate your phone once Windows 10, but no, she hasn't noticed anything. It's just operating as normal. It's a really good phone with the Snapdragon 410 with a 1 gig of RAM, and it's an OLED 720p screen. It's lovely, and we need a successor to that. Maybe with a semi-metal chassis like the 930 or like the 650 here, and thinner, whatever else, improved camera. But I mean, the screen can stay the same, the RAM can stay the same, and the processor can just be improved slightly. But Microsoft, I don't know. I just don't know what they're doing. Maybe they have a plan. I just don't know it.
Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, we do a whole episode on mid-range phones, and for me, I've come full circle on my next phone, unless it's like free or really cheap. I think I'm just going to go for mid-range. But in any event, probably tend to move on because we got all of CES to get through. Are those specs confirmed though? They're still rumors. Kind of.
They were the specs found on the prototype, and of course, prototype hardware is never final hardware. I mean, at this stage, I imagine it is, but I mean, we can never be sure.
Yeah.
Until it's out.
Well, we'll move on. I just wanted to throw that in there just because if we get back and something's a little different, we're covered ourselves. I just want to briefly go through our last non-CES story. The Lumia 950 XL. I'm almost just mentioning this because I thought it looked like it could have been a story, but at the moment it looks a bit like a no story, but there's still some details up in the air. Long story short, the Lumia 950 XL was taken off of Amazon UK, and there was a little weird banner, and it said item under review, While this item is available from other marketplace sellers on this page, it's not currently offered by Amazon.co.uk because customers have told us there may be something wrong with our inventory of the item, the way we are dispatching it, or the way it's described here. So it was kind of like, was this actually bad, or is this a stock thing, shipping thing? At least for the moment, it doesn't seem like it's a problem because Microsoft's statement that they sent to us, quote, demand for the Lumia 950 XL has been very strong and we're working hard to keep our channel partners supplied. UK customers can check out the best offers for the Lumia 950 XL at blah, blah, blah. So while it doesn't address specifically Amazon, it doesn't sound like there's a huge issue, but I thought when I first saw like headlines about it, I was like, oh man, this kind of, and it happened when we were gone. So I want to mention it, but it seems like that's kind of died down. So that's about it.
Yeah.
But now we got CES, right?
Yeah.
CES, big thing, fun stuff, tech, all that. Did you get to watch it? Did you get to read it?
I haven't watched anything CES. I've just seen announcements.
Yeah, I'm just reading
CES
it. Well.
is so big and vast. It's like you can't keep up with all of it.
Yeah, no, I mean, and there's also, I mean, honestly, I like Microsoft. I just love tech. So you see, people tweeting things, the articles coming out, and you go, man, later in the show, we're going to talk about our favorite non-Microsoft tech comment section. Get thinking that too. That not yet. Just think about it because it takes a few minutes,
Yeah.
But anyway, let's go through the Microsoft stuff. I thought a really intriguing piece of hardware was the Alcatel One Touch. It's an 8-inch tablet, but it's running Windows 10 mobile rather than full Windows 10.
Yes.
So I think that's really interesting. What are your thoughts on just the operating system part of it? Then we'll get into some more things.
So this is the Alcatel Pixie 3, right?
No. I think it's called the Alcatel One Touch.
Oh yeah, the Alcatel One Touch Pixie 3. Okay.
Is that it?
Yeah.
That's a long name.
It is. Great naming, Alcatel.
Alcatel One Touch launches an 8-inch Windows 10 mobile tablet, the Pixie 3. I guess you're right. It is a Pixie 3. My fault.
Interestingly, this is more of a phablet because it can make phone calls. So I can buy this phone.
Even though it's like...
Yeah, I can buy this phone and use it as my phone if I really wanted to. But yeah, I'm very interested in this product, more so than I think anything that's been announced at CES, which I know is sad considering we've got new OLED laptops and 30-inch 4K OLED Dell monitor beauties. But this thing really interests me because this is our first Windows 10 mobile tablet. Now, the experience, I know they're saying an optimized experience. What I think this means, and what I've been told, is that it means the fourth column on the start screen, and of course you've got that adjuster to make the text smaller. They dropped that slider down so you get more, you can fit more on screen at one time. So apps display.
We have that now.
Yes, we have that now, but they're saying it's a tailored experience, which I think's talking. Yeah. So apps will display like tablet apps for the majority of the time on this device. All the hands-on videos that I've seen of this device have not got that tablet experience activated. So they're just using 3 tiles, just like a normal phone. So when they open apps, everything's big and it just looks terrible. But I imagine you can turn on that air quotes tablet mode experience and have apps display more information and have another column on the start screen, and that will be what makes this more of a tablet device. So I'm very interested in this. Very cheap. It's a Snapdragon 210 with 1 GB of RAM, 8 GB of storage. It's an 8-inch 1280 by 800 IPS screen, so it's not 1080p or it's not a good screen. It's going to be a pretty ugly screen, but you got standard features: Bluetooth 4.1. I'm taking your story. I've just
No, you're fine.
So Bluetooth 4.1, G sensor, micro USB, micro SD card support up to 32 gigabytes, a relatively okay battery, so a 3,200 milliamp hour battery, whatever else, more other details. Pricing starts at $200, but this
is really cheap.
Yes, this is a device that I would consider replacing my Surface RT with.
Well, here's the real reason I think this. There's other tech that honestly is probably more interesting from like a tech perspective, but because this is the WinBeta podcast and not like tech, tech talk or something. I think that's the name of the podcast, Tech Talk. It's not just general tech. I have a question. How is this different than Windows RT? It's a tablet running only apps.
Yeah, it's not got a desktop. That's one thing.
It's a tablet running only Windows apps. Isn't that like what Windows RT was?
Here's the thing. It's not Windows 8 apps per se. It's Windows Phone apps, which is different.
So like
this tablet can
Instagram?
run Yes, Instagram, for example. It can run Instagram.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's cool, but then again, I was not morally opposed to Windows tablets in the first place. But it's just kind of interesting that it's like when we always hated, like people made fun of Windows RT, and then a tablet comes out that basically it's very similar to Windows RT.
This product probably won't sell as well as another tablet will, but I'm going to buy one because I'm really interested in Windows 10 Mobile on a bigger screen. I just wish this had a higher resolution screen. Someone said that, I'm sure I read somewhere that they're planning to launch a higher end version of this in the future,
Cool.
which would be really nice. Imagine a 1080p OLED panel with 3 gigs of RAM and a Snapdragon 800 in an 8-inch form factor. That would be amazing.
So basically, you want like a Surface Mini that's also a phone.
A Surface Mini. A Surface Mini should be an 8-inch device that's built like a Surface, so you got those nice, that nice design, premium build,
magnesium,
excellent screen, whatever else, good specs, and running Windows 10 Mobile. I would buy that in a heartbeat.
How about this? How about if we're doing dream scenarios, why don't they have it run both?
Because that's never good for the consumer.
Yeah. In any event, so here's this. So we have phones that are computers, kind of with Continuum. Tablets that are phones, such as this one, because it's a tablet, can technically make a phone call. Tablets that are PCs, which is the Surface line, and every 2-in-1 around there. Then there are, let's see here, what else you got? You got PCs that are tablets in the Surface Book. So if you just put Continuum on a tablet running Windows 10 Mobile, like if the Alcatel One Touch Pixie 4 ran Continuum, and then you had a Microsoft Band, you'd have like every form factor covered, basically, like that.
Right, yeah.
But I don't know, I guess it's a good thing. It's also kind of weird. It's interesting that a company like Microsoft would build an operating system that you can do this on. Because on one hand, I'm not sure it makes them more money. Because people you need to buy less and less and less devices. People don't use phones to make calls as much as they used to. There might be people who use an 8-inch tablet running Windows 10 Mobile, a Bluetooth headset in case they get a phone call, but otherwise don't really use a phone.
No, yeah.
And so you're using like less devices. I have a tablet that's also my PC. So I didn't buy like a Surface and a Dell. I just bought a Surface. And so it's interesting that Microsoft would push an operating system and products that kind of make this a reality. But I think it's great for the consumer because ultimately, whether it's today or 5 years from now or 2 years from now or whatever, you're looking at like a 1 or 2 device world. Right now I have a phone and a tablet that's also a PC. Maybe in the future I have a phone that's a phone, a tablet, or a tablet that's a phone and a PC and everything in one. Then you only need one device.
Yeah.
So that'd be pretty legit.
Yeah, no, I'm very excited for this. I can't wait to get my hands on it. I am going to use the hell out of that. It will be my new Surface RT. I will use it in bed at night time before I go to sleep. Just a casual device. Because my Surface Pro 4 here, it's a tablet as well as a 2-in-1, but I don't really use it to watch YouTube videos or play games. I don't use it as a consumer-y tablet. I use it for, power apps and whatever else. So this 8-inch tablet here it'll be good, I think, especially with running Windows 10 Mobile, because I don't need my tablet to be able to run Photoshop or Google Chrome. I don't mind using the mobile version of Edge. I don't mind just using the lightweight Outlook Mail and Word apps. And I mean, I just think the experience will be better for casual Windows use.
There's one thing that I can almost guarantee is going to drive you nuts when you get this, though. Windows 10 Mobile doesn't support app multitasking on the screen.
Yeah, and it also doesn't support landscape on the start screen.
Oh.
Not yet.
They got to add those. Because honestly, I mean, I prefer, for some tablets, 2-in-1s make sense. I got Leah, her tablet, we picked that out. And it's a 2-in-1, but it's an 8-inch tablet. But unless you're blowing it up to a full screen, we don't really use the desktop. We use it as just a tablet. She's on it right now. So I'd be okay with like 8-inch tablets and 7-inch tablets running Windows 10 Mobile. But if you're going to do that, Microsoft, then make Windows 10 Mobile more than just a phone operating system. Make it scale where it has landscape, and then over time build in side-by-side support. I mean, the iPad can do side-by-side support, and it's just a tablet. So they should be able to put that into a mobile operating system.
Right, yeah.
Anyway. Why don't we skip to the Oculus Rift one, and then we'll come back to the Volvo.
Yes. Okay. So the Oculus Rift was announced at CES this year, and this is the consumer. I say announced. It was the consumer one was put up for pre-order for $599, which is not cheap for the Oculus. People were considering it to be priced more around console prices, although this isn't really a console, it's more of a controller. It's a very expensive controller, being that you can play games with your head and be immersed in the experience. But for the price, I mean, people are, I say to you, the Oculus Rift costs $599, but that also includes more than just the Oculus. That includes some kind of remote with it, balance things, an Xbox One controller, which in itself is like, I think, £40, or however many it is in dollars, and 2 games. It comes with 2 games as well, 2 VR compatible games. So that's, I mean, when you think about it, the Oculus itself is more like $499 instead of $599.
Still a lot, but more
$450. I mean, in the UK, it's £499, which is kind of where I was expecting it to be anyway. So it's I'm not too shocked at this pricing. Unfortunately, I won't be getting one because apparently my computer doesn't support it. Well, it does, minus the graphics card, which I need at minimum a GTX 970, but I have a 960 because I didn't pack this really powerful machine to with a good graphics card because I'm a cheapo and didn't want to spend more than what I did.
I mean, honestly, it's more than I think people are most upset because it's more than what they initially said they thought it would cost.
Right.
I think if you never got a price listing, people might be like, "Oh, that's high," but I guess, oh, look at what it is. I mean, honestly, it looks pretty amazing. So you sit there and say, "All right, well, it's kind of maybe it's worth that much money." But if you say a low number and then tell people it's actually a higher number, then all of a sudden people are going to get upset. Which is why, until you have an official price, you shouldn't mention any numbers. Think about HoloLens. The HoloLens could come out. Now, it's not going to cost this, so don't get your hopes up. But they could say 300 or they could say 1,000. And you'd say in either one, you'd be like, yeah, okay, like that's about what we expected. Pretty much no matter what they say, some people will be like, yeah, that seems either high, worth the price, low, oh, that's cheap. Don't box yourself into a corner. You just get upset fans.
Thinking of the HoloLens and its pricing, where do you think the HoloLens will be priced now the Oculus has a price?
Does the Oculus Rift, it's not a standalone device, is it?
No, it hooks up to a computer or an Xbox or something.
That makes me think the HoloLens will cost more, not less, because the HoloLens...
Yeah, but how much more? Do you reckon it'll be above $1,000?
I think they got to keep it under 1,000. I'm guessing.
I've said the same. They have to keep it under 1,000, otherwise nobody will buy it.
Wrong number of digits. It's a big number. When you look at a price tag and it's got 4 digits instead of 3, that's a big commitment.
You shut off immediately a large amount of people because
and no one's going to buy a HoloLens 1 unless it's that's mostly for developers, and the HoloLens 2 or 3 is going to be where people start buying it.
Yeah, I mean, I would say a little more than the Oculus Rift, but it can't be too much. $599 is already expensive, and I would say if they go any higher than $1,000, then all of a sudden they're shutting off a huge market they could have had.
I don't know. I'm guessing 700 or 800 myself, at least, because if you look at what it is, it's
the full PC technically.
What was that?
It's a full computer.
Yeah, well, it's a full PC, and they're going to claim that it replaces your television, your computer, your paintings on your wall, bookshelves. I mean, they're going to say it costs less than a TV, and you could make your whole wall a television if you're wearing a HoloLens. People try to make that argument.
I mean, the dev kit's $3,000, but the dev kit being more expensive is understandable.
Yeah, that's a dev kit.
You know what? Maybe half of that, so $1,500. I mean, I know that's over the $1,000 thing that we should say they should stay under, but $1,500 might be where they go.
Right.
And that is expensive and would be sad for many people. I know that will shut off a lot of people that I know who want one.
Right. Yeah, no, I agree. That'd be high. I mean, the Oculus Rift price is pretty high. It's more than just a toy. I mean, you're really jumping into a platform.
Yeah, Microsoft, if you price it cheap, I'll thank you, because that means everybody I know can get their own one instead of asking to use mine all the time.
Yeah.
Thank you. I don't want people going, can I use your HoloLens? No, it's my HoloLens. I've got things pinned on the walls, notes and stuff. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
You cannot use my HoloLens.
Yeah. Well, let me jump to the Volvo one, and then we're going to move on from there. I just want to say this is really cool because it's a Microsoft. I think this was announced at CES. Was it? You know what? This may have snuck in. This might have technically just come out like during the week of CES, but not be a CES story at all.
This was a CES. Oh, what, the Volvo or the Oculus?
The Volvo. I know Oculus one.
Okay, I don't know about the Volvo one.
Whatever. I just want to say because it's cool. You can use your Microsoft Band 2 to control your car. Can start navigation, set the thermostat, lock the door. You can do all sorts of voice dictation. We don't even need to talk about it. I just think it's cool. I just want it to be out there. But for time-wise, we should probably actually move on.
Yeah.
There's a lot of tech out there. Now, I mean, we're going to talk about a couple things now, but now is the time. Comment section. What did you like? Was it the Samsung Windows 10 tablet? Was there a specific piece of kit that you really liked from Dell? Tell us in the comments now. Well, we'll talk about it. Whatever your comments are, we'll try to go off of that a little bit. But the big question I have for Zach is, after CES, how's that Surface Book looking?
Ugly. It looks ugly. Well, I mean, looking at some of the things announced, like HP announced their updated Spectre X360, and the Spectre is a beautiful device, and it's just looking better. It now has an OLED panel, QHD.
This is which one?
The Spectre X360.
That's the HP Spectre?
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
Beautiful looking device. Who else did stuff? I think Lenovo did some things. Yeah,
the Yoga Pro. I mean, the Yoga Pro line, I'm not in love with it. I went and checked out some Yogas when I was in the States, but I could definitely see why people love it. I mean, it is a real thin device for what it is. And this was the last model. So, I mean, this new one, it's so thin that, like, it's almost... I know that the Surface Book detaches, and I know that the Surface Pro can be used as just a tablet. But man, the Yoga Pro series, it's so thin that you almost, when you flip it around, it almost is just a tablet.
Hey, yeah, HP also announced an EliteBook thing, but it looks just like the new thin MacBook from Apple, and it's proper thin. That is a thin Windows device from HP, and I'm actually very interested to get one just based on its thinness. I think it looks awesome. It's like the Surface Book, to me at least, I said this on Twitter and everyone said, how dare you, that's just so wrong. I said,
how dare you?
The Surface Book seems really clunky now compared to all of these really sleek and thin and all these great looking devices that came out from CES. Now, I know the Surface Book itself is technically thin, but it looks thicker because of that stupid hinge it's got. Because when it's closed, it's like thick on the end. With these other laptops, it's thin all the way. It's just... design Microsoft. I know some people are like, oh, that hinge is actually really nice looking. It's not compared to a MacBook, for example, or the HP Spectre. If you've seen the hinge on the Spectre, it's a beautiful thing.
It's just not as prim and finished yet. It's prim and proper. To me, the Surface Book is a really good idea. It's an idea that we talked about wanting back in like August, but it's not. To me, it's not done. It's like. What they really need to get it to eventually, in my opinion, is a Surface Pro 4 or 5 or 6 or 7 or whatever, completely standalone device, great battery life. You buy just the Surface Pro whatever, and then you can attach it to the Fulcrum hinge keyboard. And so basically they're selling, here's a Surface Pro 6. Do you want that with no cover, a type cover, or a Surface Book cover? I think that's what they need to get it to, because right now it's not as good as a tablet because the battery life, it's not a really perfect laptop. You compare it to the new XPS line, Yoga Pro, the Spectre stuff, it just doesn't look as good.
Right, yeah. It's just like, I mean, the new Surface Books will look better, obviously. But right now...
Someone said that, Steve Robinshaw Surface Book still looks like a like a ring binder to me when it's when closed. That's about right.
Yeah. I know the newer Surface Books will look better, but I'm kind of half glad now that I didn't get a Surface Book. Because Gen 1 product will always be a Gen 1 product.
I mean, look at you. Are you happy with your Surface Pro 4?
Yes.
But compare that to a Surface Pro 1. It's night and day.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the same story of the Surface Book, really.
Yeah. So there you go. I think the Surface, if they could figure out that hinge thing, it's a good idea. But I really think they need to do the standalone different keyboard. Do you think that would work, that model?
Yeah, I know. The whole keyboard thing that you were talking about.
Yeah. Do you think that's a good model? Do you think should be their goal for the Surface Book 1?
Yes. It should be you buy a Surface and then you can buy the keyboard and make your Surface into a laptop.
Right. And then some people will buy it over time. Maybe, well, I can afford $800 for a Surface Pro now, and then maybe next year I can afford to make it a laptop. You know what I mean? So, yeah, I think that it might even be something like you use it as a laptop when you're out, but then when you get home, you just take it out like a tablet. But anyway, so any other device Microsoft related before we get into coolest non-Microsoft related tech?
Don't think so.
No? Okay. Well, I have one. Did you see the rollable screen?
I didn't.
So there's like an HD screen that you can roll up like a poster. Wow. And it does it. Now they said, I mean, admittedly, there are some flaws. You can only roll it in one direction. You have to be really careful. You'll blow out a pixel. But like, it's a screen that's like, it's not as thin as paper, but I mean, it's maybe like magazine cover paper. That. Well, I even think of it, but it's like, it's very thin, and it can literally, they were just rolling it like a little poster. And it's a monitor. Now, I don't know when you would use this, because honestly, like their idea was like you could have a TV, but then when you weren't using it, you could just like roll it up and put it in the cupboard. And it's like, why would I do that? Like, I just thought it was cool. I don't think it's for me, I don't know how functional it is. Until you can fold it, which I'm not even sure if that's possible. But then again, 5 years ago, rolling was probably considered impossible. Till you can fold it, I'm not sure that these movable screens are going to fully integrate there. But man, that's pretty cool. You get a rollable screen. I think that's worth checking out.
Next is rollable phones.
Ooh,
you can have like an 8-inch phone and then just roll it into your pocket.
Foldable. You could have like foldable keyboard, foldable phone. You could get a tablet and then just fold it, and then it's a phone on the outside, and then you open it and it's a tablet.
Wow, that's a wicked idea. Microsoft, go on that. We want royalties when you finally work that out. And Apple, whoever comes to it first, I don't care, just do it.
Well, that would give you a 2-screen. Ooh, you could have e-ink on one side.
See, somebody needs to innovate again, because nobody's innovated in a while. Microsoft are doing good work with the 2-in-1 area and whatever else, but there's not been a true innovation for a while.
When it comes to phones, you mean? Or?
Yeah, or just personal computers in general. Like, the last big innovation, I guess, was the iPhone, because that changed how phones are used and built and whatever else. Before the iPhone, touchscreens were kind of less of a thing, and it was more like buttony and whatever else. Now they're all capacitive touch and whatever. Somebody needs to come about and innovate again, and I think the next stage will be a different form factor of mobile phone or tablet, for example. So say something that can fold, or something that plugs into your eyeballs, or something, something different.
I think to a much lesser extent. Obviously, the iPhone revolutionized it, and it wasn't the first, but let's be honest, it was the one that made it popular. The iPhone revolutionized the mobile market, which in turn revolutionized the electronics market in a sense. I mean, you look at Microsoft, I think they made Windows more touch-friendly in response to phones and tablets, because iPhone begets iPad, iPad dominates market, Microsoft gets scared, tries to simulate that. I mean, it's, to a much lesser extent, like you mentioned it already, 2-in-1s. I won't say they revolutionized the market, but they've certainly changed it. Like, look at all the devices we just mentioned. Spectre, Yoga Pro, Surface Book. I mean, these are all touching, flippy, foldable, detachable types of things. No PCs did that 5 years ago.
No, right, exactly.
So I mean, I think you're right. Someone does need to innovate. So yeah, I think. Oh, someone said this one. That's a good idea. Oh, it's Steve again. Hi, Steve. Steve Robinshaw. Flexible screen equals return to clam phone.
Technically, I guess you're right, but then again, it could be more than a clam phone because you can fold it and then you can fold it again, and you can put it in like your top pocket or wherever else. And again, like Sean said, the next big thing I guess would be a foldable phone that you can fold out into a tablet. That would be amazing. So imagine having a tablet, like a 10-inch or 12-inch tablet, and then folding it and then folding it a couple times, and then you've got yourself a phone. The screen adjusts accordingly. The universal app platform comes into its own with this whole foldable screen, because you can just see it change live. It would be amazing.
Yeah. What I would like to see, and we are going to see, I think, is there's going to be a point, and we're reaching it, where you can't make devices thinner without ruining their structural integrity.
Yeah.
So like the Yoga series is so thin. Would you want it that much thinner? It's basically the thickness of a USB port.
You get to a point, like the Surface Pro 4 again is also at its thinnest point now, being that if they go any thinner, they'll have to start removing ports and whatever else, and Microsoft said they're not going to do that. This is Apple's problem. Apple is so obsessed with thinness with their iPhone stuff. They're even, apparently, reports say they're thinking about removing the headphone jack, and people aren't happy with this.
Which they literally bought a headphone company, so that's a bit weird.
Yeah, they want to use their lightning cable, which allows them to use less space inside, so they can make it even thinner. Like they're even sacrificing battery, just so they can make their devices thinner.
And then they come out with a ridiculous hump case.
Yeah, hump case that Tim Cook says it's not a hump case.
iPhone case.
Oh. It's like Apple are doing it wrong. There's a certain level of thinness that you can achieve.
Here's what I think. Though in defense, it's fun to make fun of Apple. I actually wouldn't. Honestly, I know headphone jacks are pretty universal, but if USB Type-C supports audio, I think other companies are going to do the same thing.
Eventually, but it takes a while to replace the standard.
But skipping for that from a second, I think what needs to happen now is they're going to continue to make the internals smaller, but the external is going to basically stay the same, right?
Yeah.
So like the Surface Pro 4 is going to be about the same size forever. You know, you even look, the Surface Pro 3, it didn't get much, it didn't change this shape. They made the bezels a little bit smaller so that the screen got a little bit bigger.
Yeah.
And so what I think they need to do is keep the form factor the same size, but then start integrating other things into there. What if they got the Surface Pro 4 to a point where they could put the stylus inside the device?
Or what if they got to a point in which the screen was an infinity display, being like...
Yeah, something like that. I mean, the form factor's there. And like you said, because no one has created a new form factor, what can you do with the current form factor? There's going to be a point where the screens are better than the human eye. The form factor is as thin as it can be. They're functionally fast enough for everything. What then? Because we're approaching that now. I mean, the Retina display is already here. Every other company's version, 4K, 8K. We're running out of bigger, faster, stronger, or smaller, sleeker, lighter. We're running out of that. Someone's got to do something else. And I think that's what CES is really all about, don't you?
Yeah, it's about experimenting and trying out the future. Not everything announced at CES ever comes to market, bear in mind. A lot of stuff there is just demo things that companies are demoing, saying this is this is the technology we have, this is what we could do with it. But I mean, bendable screens have been a thing for ages, and there's not a product that's really come out on the market just yet that really takes advantage of it, because the technology isn't properly there. Like the demos you see, that you don't see that they're powered by a massive computer that's just hidden under a desk or something. It's like the technology, they're working on the technology. It's just going to take a while, I think, for bendable screens, for example.
I thought of a use for a bendable screen.
What?
At a sporting event I went to recently, they used to have a Jumbotron that was like a square, and so there were 4 screens, like one on each side. They changed it where along the wider end of the court, it was like widescreen, and then integrated the scoreboard. Like the whole thing is just a TV. And then on the shorter sides, there's like littler screens. And it's okay if you're looking at it straight on, I bet. But there was like an overlap, and it was just really poorly designed. What if you had like Jumbotrons with foldable screens so the whole thing is one screen?
That would be interesting.
Even the corners could have the scores and like stats, then the screen could actually play the video.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I mean, people do new things, but Yeah. So yeah, I think CES and these people doing a good job pushing it. A lot of cool devices out there, tons of things for you to review. Is there anything else from this week though?
Don't think so.
I mean, we missed a ton. We were gone for weeks, but some of the stories, once they're 2-3 weeks old, we can't really report on it, and we only have an hour. So
Yeah.
yeah. Well, I guess we'll wind up and going to the after party then.
Yeah.
Well, this has been the WinBeta Podcast, episode 47. As always, I am one of your hosts, Sean Michael. You can find me on Twitter at Sean_Michael_UK. And with me is, as always, one of our co-hosts, Zach Bowden. You can find him on Twitter at
ZachB_.
There you go. And again, if Zach B's around, or just add Zach, please let us know. We'd like your Twitter handle. But just saying, putting that out there. Anyway, you can find WinBeta, because this is the WinBeta Podcast, the obvious official podcast of WinBeta.org. So you can find us on Twitter at WinBetaDOTORG, Facebook. I think we're still on Google+. And obviously, there's going to be tons of coverage. When there's CES, we're all over it. When there's Mobile World Conference or those things, we cover these events as best that we can, and then come back with a recap article and podcast as well, and keep you up to date on all your latest operating system news and whatever, all that sort of thing. So make sure to stay tuned both to WinBeta and to the podcast, and subscribe to us on iTunes or YouTube or whatever medium you would like, because as we said, audio, video, both very supported by our fans, and we appreciate that. So thanks again, guys, and we will see you on the next one. Bye-bye.